Well, good morning, everybody. 1 minute after the hour, just to give everybody a little bit of time to jump onto the call. Today we are going to cover off Trimble Earthworks version 2. I can hear myself back, so I'll quieten that down. We're going to be joined today by both Lance Sensilin, who's the sales application engineer for Trimble for rest of world, and also by Dave McNamee, who's the sales engineering manager also at Trimble, and he looks after rest of world. And between them, they're going to be looking both at two-way data flow and making the best use of that, and then also the actual hardware and some of the new latest and greatest development by Trimble. Myself, I'm Ian Barnes, I'm head of the business, and we've been running these webinars really to try and bring people together in these difficult times surrounding COVID-19 and the people on furlough or not having access to site. It's been a great and really enlightening opportunity to pull people together, an opportunity and a forum to ask questions. So we encourage the questions throughout the session and using the Q&A sessions options at the bottom. Or you can also use the chat function as well. We'll try and answer questions towards the end of the presentation, but we'll collate the questions as we go along. But if there is anything that can be answered as we progress, we will do so. These guys who we are going to be presented to by, Lance and Dave, are industry experts, and we utilize them throughout our everyday business, and they've got all the knowledge about the product, so it is a great opportunity to make the most of their time. So we do encourage the questions. Afterwards, the Q&A session will run for about 30 minutes, but we don't mind if it runs over as long as you guys at the other side of this are happy. Following the webinar, SciTech UK and Ireland are hosting all the webinar content on our website, and we are going to get in contact with each and every one of you to make sure you've enjoyed it. Any questions that need to be answered, we can do so if they weren't done in the call. And we're going to continue this theme in the near future and the distant future as well, because it's gone down really, really well. So without any further ado, I'd love to hand you over now, firstly, to Dave McNamee.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, good. I'm not talking to myself. Okay, good morning. It's a strange situation. I'm normally used to standing in front of a room full of people and giving this presentation and getting feedback. So it's the first time I've done this. If it goes wrong, hopefully forgive me. As Ian said, please, if you have questions, do ask them. Don't be embarrassed. It's even better because nobody can see who you are. So you can put them on the chat or the QA and we'll answer them as we go along. There you go. So, the future of Earthworks. So we're going to talk today about Earthworks, mainly Earthworks version 2. And myself and Lance. So Lance is part of the team that we cover the rest of the world with. Also covering the UK as part of that. Hopefully you will all have heard of Trimble Earthworks. Some of you will have GCS software. Some of you have Earthworks, we have SiteWorks on the field crews and SCS 900. So we'll touch a little bit on that as well, part of the data session. So what I'm going to cover is two-way data from the office to the machine and back again. The new features of the surfaces and line works within Earthworks. Our real-time mapping, it's been there for a few versions now, just to refresh people's memory on what we can do with the mapping. Remote assistant, what we do, how we do that, and what its benefits for. Our augmented reality, hopefully people have read about it, so we're going to explain a little bit more about what's going on there. And then Earthworks Assistant, which I'll talk about just at the end of my part of the presentation. Okay. So two-way data, if we look first at the office side, designs can be created in Trimble Business Center, TBC, or imported from third-party design into Business Center. The reason we do that is we have now a feature of TBC which allows us to export a specific file format called VCL. This VCL is our standard file format going forward. It's the same file format for Earthworks, for SiteWorks, for Groundworks. It will be for our roadworks, our roading software as well. So it encompasses all of our field and hardware opportunities. The benefit for Earthworks, it allows us to have multi-surfaces and alignments in one design file. So in the past, we had to export SVD, SVL, or individual alignment with a surface model. Now we export one file that has multiple surfaces, multiple alignments, all in that file. And I'll show you how to do that soon. Likewise, we have line work. So typically DXF files or line work, lots of data coming into the project that people don't actually need to see, or the operator of the machine doesn't need to see all that line work in one go. We can disable certain line work so the operator only sees what is necessary for him to be able to do his job. Okay. I'm going to touch on a new software that we also have called Works Manager. It's a cloud-based software package. It allows us to send data to the machines. The people in the office can see the machines and see what designs they're working on, if they're working on the correct version or not, because we actually version designs as well now. And they can see where those machines are. So inside of Trimble Business Center, we have a special Works Manager option. So you can run it separately, or you can run it from within Business Center. Create your Works Manager project, so your boundary of your site calibration, that type of thing. And then here we say we want to create a Works Manager design. In this example, I have 4 surfaces. I have 4 different surfaces: capping, formation, subgrade, and finished surface. I have on the right-hand side, my Works Manager account, my username, my account is going into, and the project that this data is belonging to, which is Blagon. I give my design a name, subgrades. I then say it's a model type. And in the past, if anybody's used to Business Center, we had 3D line work, road surfaces, that type of thing. We now have a new one called user defined. And that allows me to select surfaces, alignments, line work, all the important things that we need to be able to send out to machines. So in this case, I've selected the four surfaces. I click on add, and then I say I want to publish that to Works Manager. So that now goes into the cloud, into our Works Manager software in the cloud, waiting for the operator of the machine to download it. If we jump to the machine side, that machine that's inside of the boundary of that site, that Blagon project, the operator will get a message saying there's a new design being loaded. We don't physically automatically load that into the machine. We don't do that because of health and safety reasons. We don't know what the situation is around the machine. Hopefully the design is right, but if we send the wrong design and the blade digs in, the machine could tip over. So we just tell the operator there's a new design. He has to physically say, okay, I'm going to load this design, so we abide by all health and safety regulations. I mentioned earlier, you see at the end of this little slide presentation, we actually do version them. So now we have a history. So if you say, okay, this design is now version 3, once you export that same design back out with the addendums that have been done, it will say this is now version 3. Operator can see this is version 3, and that's recorded inside our system for all quality assurance checking. So the operator loads the design. He says, okay, I've synchronized that with Works Manager. I'm going to select my project, which is Blagon. My mode is design, and I have no design selected at the moment. So he clicks the down arrow to the right of where it says non-selected for design. He selects the design, which will be surfaces, and then he gets asked, do you want to have a surface and a master alignment? So now before, you had one design, which was your alignment and was your surface. Now it actually says, I have all those surfaces, which one do you want to work with? So I can select the finished surface in here. It now goes in and says, okay, finished surface is your working surface. That's what you're getting your cut fill against. Now you can also have two other reference surfaces. So as well as working against my finished surface, I, for example, want to see how deep is my capping surface and how deep is my subgrade.
Dave?
So, yeah.
Ian Barnes here. So just wanted to answer a live question because I think it's quite pertinent to what you're going through here. It's been asked in terms of, are there any restrictions on file formats that can be imported, specifically Bentley Connect? So my understanding, Bentley is can be formatted.
Work well, yes, we work well. So all the typical land XML, DXFs, TTMs, various other formats we can import into Business Center and get it out from there. Yes.
Super duper, thanks, that's great. So that's answered that question there. Carry on, sorry about that.
No problem. So now we say we can actually select two reference surfaces. We don't have to have two, we can only have one if we wanted to, but at the moment we only have a maximum of two. It will show you all those surfaces that are there. And you can see on the right-hand side, there's an eye icon with a line cut through it. It means these are not being shown. If I want to show capping and subgrade, I tap on them, it opens the eye and says, right, I'm going to have my finished surface as my cut fill surface. I'm going to show the capping and the subgrade beneath that. You can see my wonderful work of art now. You can see where the doors, the yellow arrow is pointing to my finished surface. I then have the two lines which actually take the color from Business Center. So whatever color those surfaces have been assigned in Business Center, that's the colors you see them on the screen. So they can actually be color coded as well. You will also get your cut fill tolerance lines in here if you want to have them, and they'd be colored red and blue for the different tolerances. So the operator can see everything on one screen, in the cross-section view, in the profile view, all that he needs to do in there. Okay, so it's really helpful to see where he is on the designs, how far he has to dig down till it gets to the next level, or etc. So far we've talked all this is about going through the cloud. We know in some countries and even in some just in typical locations, internet connectivity is not that good. So you can still put this on a USB stick, go out to the machine and put that onto the USB stick. Same principle with line work. I mentioned earlier about you can get designs with lots of line work that just totally confuse the operator. So we can have an option where, in this example, we can have a look at all our design line work. So we have curbs, center lines, fiber optic cables, gas pipelines, all of that information displayed in the view. Again, I can go to the line work manager just by tapping and clicking on an icon on the screen. And it shows me all of the line work layers that are visible. Same format as before. Open eye means it's visible. Closed eye means they're taking off. So now I have my fiber optic cable displayed. When I go back to my machine view, it's the one line work that I want to see, or 2-3 line works that I want to see, curb lines and whatever. So I can limit what is actually displayed inside for the operator, or the operator chooses himself, sorry. Real-time mapping. So this was released a couple of versions ago, it wasn't specific to version 2. But what we can do is we can have a real-time cut fill map based on design and existing ground, previous surveyed, or from a drone survey, or from yesterday's work. Because as the machine is moving, it's recording those log files, those tag files. That's getting put up to the cloud. That surface from yesterday can be downloaded into the system, and we can then see how compare from yesterday what we're doing today. Similar colors, red, green, and blue, cut fill and on grade. And depending on where you selected to get your information from is whether we do it from the tip of the blade or the bottom of the tracks. So you can see in the display, we've got green underneath the tracks. We're using the bottom of tracks. This is a cab-mounted dozer. We're using the bottom of the tracks to get our cut fill values because that's where we've accurately measured to. And that gives the operator, again, a quick idea of where's cut, where's fill. We can display or decide to display our mapping data, yes or no. So if he's not interested in seeing it, he just wants to work, then he can switch it off. If you click on that ground surface where it says none at the moment, you can load up a TTM file. So from drone survey, from yesterday's work, or there's an option to say download from VisionLink. You can download from VisionLink and see what's going on. On grade, cut, fill, so red, green, blue, as standard. There are certain module options you need to have inside the software. For more information on that, we recommend you speak with SiteTech. They have more time to go through it rather than we can do it here, because there are quite a lot of options of pick and choosing what you need to do. I'm just going to show you what is possible at the moment. Say for more in-depth details, speak with your SiteTech guys. Remote assistant. So again, we've got no pegs on site. The operator can see what's going on, but the guy outside the machine has no idea what's going on with the operator. Health and safety forbids him to stand on the machine while it's working. So he can stand outside with his tablet or his Android phone or his iOS phone, connect over Wi-Fi to the control box inside the machine. We have what we call a technical interface. So that's where you can go in, and as part of that, you can select the operator view. Once you see the operator view, it will replicate what the operator sees on your tablet or phone, inside your car or standing outside, what's going on. So if the operator's saying he's got some issues with the site or some information, you can't stand up there when it's moving. You can stand off to the sides, look to see what's going on, say, yes, you've got an offset in here, or you've got the wrong design loaded, or I see what the problem is, we can sort that out. That can be done directly on site straight away. If we are sitting in the office, like we have today, a lot of people are restricted from travel. You can sit in the office, sit at home, sit on the beach, as long as you've got internet connection. You can go through Works Manager, and in your project, you can click on the devices, and you can highlight a specific device and say, show me that device. You see the two arrows going across. That's showing a little box. Typically, when the machine is online and working, that was green. You can tap on that box, and it will upload what the operator is seeing for you. So you can sit in the office or at home, find out what the operator is doing, tell them, yeah, you're using the wrong design, or you got these offsets wrong, or check what's going on. Use it for training. So you can give them a call and say, okay, yes, you need to press this button, do this button. We do not give you control over the machine. Again, for health and safety, you can't move anything on the machine that's could affect or injure somebody on site. We just show you what the operator sees, and then you tell him manually, and he presses it because he can see what's going on in the surrounding area. Augmented reality. Hopefully you've all heard about this. It was launched at ConExpo. We have a special site-proof camera that we mount onto the machine, the front of the machine, looking forward towards the excavator bucket. At the moment, it's only on excavators. We then calibrate. We use 4 positions to calibrate the bucket. And basically, you move the bucket, you see it in the picture, you tap the 2 edges of the bucket, it snaps to it. You move it to a different location, do the same. You do that 4 times, and we've calibrated that bucket.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah.
We've got some really good questions coming in, and I'm just cognizant that
Okay.
when we go to the hardware, we might have lost the opportunity to do that. So we've got a couple of questions, but we've got 3. We'll do, I think, the mapping side of things first, because that's what you've most recently covered.
Okay.
The questions come in, real-time mapping, is it done using GPS location and measurement based on reporting the control box, or is it off the ground? And I think it is. It's both the track point and also the bottom of the blade, isn't it?
It's the bottom of the blade, or the bottom of the tracks, or the tip of the blade, depending on what option the operator selected to record.
Indeed. And then beyond that, then, can that information, I didn't know the answer to this one, can that information then be exported on a CSV or similar file format to give a live comparison model to the surface in the field?
So we export it, or we create tag files, which can then be uploaded to VisionLink. So yes, we're doing that all the time. We're recording all data all the time. So access is available, not directly through USB, but it is available for updates, yes.
Okay, brilliant.
Just get back to positioning. It's not just GPS. This can also be done by UTS as well. So if you've got a UTS machine, we're still recording the data because we're getting a 3D position of the blade or the tracks.
Yeah, it's constant.
Yeah.
And then the next question, this is definitely one for you. This is out of my own. So the design changes.
Yes.
In terms of the upload of auto-loaded once new designs become available. But the question specifically, I think, is around, is there a way to restrict access to the older versions so they can't be selected after the event and retrospectively, so that the driver doesn't load an old file by accident?
Yes, so say, example, we've got road center line, version 1, 2, and 3, and the later one comes up as version 4. So it's been exported out to Works Manager. It goes into the operation, into Works Manager, sorry, and then the operator downloads that and says, okay, version 4, I load that. That blocks off previous versions. So you can't actually load up an older version inside the system.
That's perfect then, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then this is an older question that you'd gone on beyond being able to ask it, but just could you explain to our audience today some of the benefits of using master alignment for the operator?
So master alignment, so it could be, rather than master alignment, it could be any alignment.
Yep.
Lance is going to cover it a little bit later on. It's one of the new features that we launched, so I won't spend that too much. But basically, for example, you want to cut the bottom of an embankment. So you can see on guidance to the line, which indicates me the bottom of that embankment. You select that line and the operator drives into that line and says, okay, I'm half a meter away, I'm 0.2 of a meter away, I'm on that line, and I can guide and cut out the bottom of that alignment. So that could be, say, bottom of cuttings, top of banks, center lines of roads, edge of your cut. So if you're finished, when you're starting the site, you want to put your fence lines in, you don't want to waste time cutting material outside of that area of the site. You can use that and say, okay, I have the outside boundary line for my site. Let me use that line and I can cut all that material away. So I only work on material that's relevant to my site. That's the type of things we use for the alignments.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Okay. So get back to augmented reality. So what we're allowing, again, operator, he gets a design that says you need to move X amount of material from here to there. He maybe doesn't quite understand where that material has to come from, where it has to go to. So what we can do is we can overlay that design through the image that the camera is picking up. And that overlay can be very transparent or it can be bold. So the operator can see only the design, or you can have a mixture of design and existing ground, depends on how he wants to see it. So he can really quickly see that, okay, to my left, I need to dig out X amount of material and I need to put it onto the right because of an embankment. Gets him up and running, makes him more productive, a lot more health and safety because he doesn't need to go out and check on pegs or have a look around outside on the ground of where material has to come and go from. This is not just for 3D. If you've only got the 2D system on the excavator, it will take your slope or depth and slope design that you created in your machine, project that design onto your existing ground from the machine out. So even in the 2D operation, you can use the augmented reality view. This can also, again, be used through remote assistant. So you want to see what's going on, what the existing ground is looking like compared to what the design says it should look like. Again, you can use Works Manager or through the Wi-Fi, jump onto the design, onto the control box, replicate that back through and see, yes, it's working. Yes, that depends on how good your internet connection is. If you've got a nice 4G signal, you're going to get good graphics. If it's not, the graphics aren't going to be as good as what the operator of the cab can see. But it's give and take of items that we can control, like internet connection. So it's a really great tool for the operator to really be more productive, see where he has to work. You see some icons on the right-hand side, some little icons showing up. Okay, that's where the machine points are being stored. That's my benchmarks, or that's points I've measured with my machine. So he can also have indication of where he's measured for finished surface points or checkpoints that he's done. And the last one I want to cover, it's not really to do with data, but it's a new app that we've launched. This can be run on the TD screen inside the operator, inside the machine, sorry, for the operator, or the operator can download it on his tablet or his telephone. It's an app called Trimble Earthworks Assistant, and it has all the help files that are based inside the TD at the moment, inside Earthworks, are on his phone. So if he has a question, he can go into this. You can see I'm on version 2. How do I do using elevation offsets? Click on that, and it gives him videos and explanation exactly, this is what you have to do, press this button, do this, do this, do that. So it walks him through how to do those operations. So he's no more stuck on site waiting for help, trying to get hold of the site tech or the chief engineer or whoever's responsible for machines to come and show him how to do things. He can quickly, in his own phone, quickly pull it up and say, right, tell me how to do this, and I can do it. So it's all the help guides that are on the existing TD screen can also be on his tablet or his home, his cell phone. So you can look at this when he's at home or in his cabin at night time or in the pub when he's having a drink before he goes home. That's the part of the data. Is there any questions we're going to answer now before we move on to the machine side? Anything outstanding?
No, there's no questions outstanding. But what I'd like to highlight from both the remote, the assistant, and also the augmented reality there on the screens, they really are game changers and tools that simplify the operation of technology on machines, aren't they? You know, if you look at where we are within the UK for major projects of HS2, skills gaps we've got, and the complexity of equipment, the Trimble and the SciTech world is all about making that more accessible and easier to use, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, definitely. We try to make operators' life a lot easier, so they're less stressful, more productive. The less stress they have, the better work they can do. Means the machines are working better, more environmentally friendly. Companies are making money. The site managers, site surveyors, their stress has gone down. And the client is happy as well. So everybody, it's a win-win for everybody. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's a huge virtuous circle. So just a quick question, I suppose, also in terms of, you know, the augmented reality is out there now. And what I'd highlight to say is both with what Dave, me, and also Lance is going to cover, as soon as we can, we'd like to arrange, you know, further webinars, face-to-face or video calls with people who want to know more or specific detail. On the app, the phone app, when is that available? Is that available now?
It's now. It's out now. Yes. I just want to check. I'll make sure I'll go back and check. But it's been out since ConExpo, which was in March, so it should actually still be on the Google Play Store or iOS. I think it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. No, I thought it was. It's just that sometimes it's good to highlight these points to customers. We've got lots of questions coming in now, so we'll answer these before we move on.
Okay.
So next question we've got is augmented reality. It does show the operator where to take material to and from,
yes.
But can we reflect that in terms of productivity or material stockpile control, so we can log where items are being put?
At the moment, it's really it's the first version, so it's just to show you, here's your 3D design, this is what it looks like on site.
Yep.
If you have those stockpiles as a design that you've loaded into the machine, then yes, you can see that.
Yeah.
But there's no productivity option at the moment, no.
Yeah. And I suppose you could integrate that with things like the SciTech and Trimble propeller drone flights, where if you are logging what you're moving every day and you create a drone flight at the end of the day, then that also logs your productivity too, yeah?
Correct, yes.
Super.
And if you talk about moving material, so we have the payload system. Again, I'm going to spoil Lance's presentation. But you have the 3 screens or the 3 windows inside the Earthworks screen. So you could have the augmented reality view. And as part of the other side, you can actually have your material. So as you're loading trucks, you see how much material or what type of material is going in the truck. And that's on the same time as the augmented view. So you can actually see what's going on.
Yeah. Next question we've got, and this is, I think, something I'm going to have to get back to the person asking the question, David Coney, which is looking at Earthworks Assist. Is this included in the price of Earthworks systems purchased? I don't.
Earthworks Assist is free.
Yep.
It's free to everybody. Anybody can download it. You can go in the store now, download it, install it, and it works. And it's to get more people up and running and familiar. So rather than having to sit inside your machine and press the buttons and go through the help videos, you can do it at home. You can do it sitting in the bath, wherever you want to do it.
Okay. Careful of the phone in the bath there, David. But yeah, brilliant. And then I think there's just on. That's it for these questions. Let me just scroll down, see if there's any more. There's more and more coming in. So is the app free to use to survey it? Yep. So as Dave just covered, that's great. Somebody's already downloaded it, which is, this is the beauty of these live sessions, isn't it? Is there a manual for operators to revise how to use the system at home before even jumping in? That's a great question, Jonathan. So one thing that Cytec have been doing with the support of Trimble, we've been building up almost field reference guides and quick how-to documents. So when we install a product, we can hand these over. They are free and available, and I'll make sure somebody can get onto you to support you in terms of that. Either it's hard content for you to revise and use, or whether it's electronic content, you've got something around you to support you. More questions coming in? No, that's it. Last one is just following up on the Jonathan Child's question, which is about giving people training about using operators and some of the click-throughs on the buttons or the control screen.
Yes.
One thing we're going to be doing straight after this, as part of the Q&A, Lance and David are going to quickly show an emulator that can help understand the products and features on some of the parts. So we will cover that also.
Yeah.
And that's specifically the Trimble Earthworks emulator, which we'll just quickly show. We're probably going to run another session looking at the emulator specifically, because it's quite a difficult thing to keep at a top level, but we'll come on to that later on. Okay, sorry, Lance, we're asking a lot of questions after you.
Oh, great. Good morning. Great one. Thanks, David. Actually, initially, I was going to take a bet with Dave that I could attract more questions than what he did. I think I will just rethink my strategy on that question. So let's just jump in straight away and have a look at some of our machine control systems. And why is my slideshow not playing? So bear with me so I can be sure to get. Okay, so I'm hitting the screen and my slides are not playing. Bear with me one moment. I'm just going to start this the old manual way, right like that.
Current slide, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. It's working. Great. So we're going to have a look at the excavators, have a look at an update on supported excavator models, and then we're going to stay on excavators for, briefly with regards to single mast support on excavators. Then we're going to touch on graders. I completely understand there are not many graders in the UK and Ireland. However, we will touch on that briefly. We'll also have a look at the addition of the sonic tracer to the 3D grader systems. The Masters grader, which has generated a lot of excitement since being spoken about after ConExpo, we'll touch on that briefly. Then, very importantly, are the dozers and the supported dozer models. There's some pretty interesting and exciting news on that that's coming up, especially around the blade mount dozers. And following that, we'll deal with some questions. So, concerning the supported excavators, I'm just going to point out the highlights of the new models that are supported. On the Komatsu and the PC138, this is a very popular machine, especially on the rail jobs. Those are now supported in Earthworks, and then the PC240. On the Liebherr, I'm not sure how many Liebherr machines or how strong their market is in the UK, but we have those that are supported. On the Deere end, we have 2 machines that have been added to the supported list, and then there's the CAT 336E. So that is just briefly what's been added to our ever-growing list. This list does evolve and grow, so I would really encourage you, if you do have a machine out there and you haven't seen it on this list, get a pic of the serial number, head over to SciTech and find out with them if there is Earthworks support on the automatics excavators for your machine. The other good part...
Sorry,
yes.
Lance, just before you go on. So that's talking about automatics. So that's the automatic system. The Earthworks can work on all excavators in the cage system. So it's not just automatics, but the automatic list is updated regularly or quite often. So yeah, please speak with SciTech to find out if you're unsure.
Yeah, very valid
Yeah, you beat me
point.
to that one, David. I was just going to highlight that point in terms of it being applicable to all machines and not just the auto side of things as well. So fabulous, thank you.
Yep. Very good point. Thanks, David. In addition to support of the technology of Earthworks on excavators, we now also support single mast GNSS on excavators. Same as for those of you who had single mast functionality on GCS 900, very much the same functionality on that. The huge benefit for us is that, well, you can use both the receiver types. You can use EMS 992s and 995s, and also 972, 975s. In other words, you can take a receiver from a dozer, you can put it onto your excavator, and you have portability of your system, and you can go ahead and make use of that. The way that we see this, the benefit to this is for those who are sort of just very new to the machine control market. You're just sort of dabbing a toe into it and saying, well, I've got an excavator, I'm just going to put an ordinary 2D system onto this and just try it out and see how I get along. Well, that's great. With your 2D system, which really just does depth and slope, it doesn't have any design functionality. If you are recording points or making a simple alignment of some sort, then you can add a GPS receiver, a single GPS receiver, to your 2D system, and it'll actually just give you a GPS reference for that position. It doesn't have the full 3D design functionality. This is just an entry of having GPS technology on your 2D machine. Out in the field among ourselves, we call it 2.5D. That is just sort of a crude term that we use for it. From there on, you can then move on and get the design functionality. You can add that to your system. You can grow it one step at a time. And now you have 3D design. You still have single GPS on it. And you can then keep growing your system and start enjoying the full benefits of a 3D system, after which you can then also add a dual GPS, in other words, a second GPS receiver onto your excavator. So that is also supported in Earthworks, and this comes on the back of the support for UTS or total station functionality on excavators within Earthworks. Great, the motor graders. Currently, Earthworks supports the series of M graders. This is the original M graders, and then we went on to series M2 and then M3, and then also the new CAT series of graders, which will be hitting the market quite soon. I think some of them may even be in the field already. Just a point to note, the GC graders, I doubt these will be in your market. I'm just mentioning in case you do come across them. They're currently not supported within Earthworks. However, I believe there is some change on the horizon for that, but currently these machines are not supported. For the Komatsu machines, we have the GP series graders, which are supported, and then also the case graders. Now, I'm going through this pretty quickly because I don't believe there are that many graders currently in the UK, but this may well change with some of the upcoming projects that you do have coming up. And again, as I said with the excavators, this list does evolve and grow. So please get a picture of the serial number. If you're interested, get yourself over to SciTech and discuss getting your grader equipped with some of the bespoke Trimble technology. A very nice addition to support on 3D graders is the Sonic Tracer. Really, the Sonic Tracer is the matchmaker on a site. What it does is it allows you to match the surrounding terrain pretty seamlessly onto your design. So you have a design and it's been placed into a specific area, and then outside of that design will just be the natural terrain as it is. And the Sonic Tracer is a really good piece of equipment for matching to surfaces, if you like. The other benefit of this, or one of the other applications of this, is if you are building a road, you might have one lane which is live, so you'll have the live traffic pushed over into one lane while you build the other lane in the meantime. As soon as you've finished building that lane, you're now going to swap over the traffic onto the newly finished lane so that you can carry on the unfinished lane. Very often it's a challenge to get the two of those lanes to meet really neatly at the crest. The benefit of the Sonic Tracer is that you can now have the Sonic Tracer following your finished surface that you've just made, and the other side of the blade can then cut according to the design. So the finished surface might not be perfectly exactly on design. You can have the Sonic Tracer following that, and it'll help you to meet your design or to match your design very nicely to that finished surface. The other one, of course, is if you have some curbstones that are laid and you'd like your road surface to follow the elevations of those curbstones as they may have changed, you can then get the cross slope of the design to be followed and the elevation of the curbstones that have been placed for that road project. And as mentioned, this device is really the one that just brings in the surface and ties them very nicely together. So that is now supported for motor graders on Earthworks. Moving on to the mastless grader, this is the one that's been spoken of pretty significantly. There was quite a bit of excitement generated with this machine. Currently, these machines only support dual GNSS or dual GPS. What we have is we have a GPS receiver on the front of the gooseneck and another one on the back of the cab. We remove the masts, and of course the benefit is that now you have pretty much full articulation, wheel lean, side shift, circle side shift functionality of your grader without having the masts on the end of the blade. If you do want to use UTS or total station functionality on these graders, then yes, you will have to put on a mast on the blade. That is possible. One very important point on the supported models of these machines. You have 12s, 40s, 150, 160s. Very importantly, on the rear of the blade, we require a position sensing cylinder. These are purchased from your Cat dealer. They're installed by the Cat dealer. The purpose of that position sensing cylinder on the back of the blade is so that we know at all times where the side shift of this blade is. And that is obviously required for the mastless system on these graders. Great. Moving on to the cab mounted dozers supported by Trimble Earthworks. This list is ever growing. There's the list of the Cat dozers that we have, Komatsu. One particular mention on the Komatsu side of it, the D65-18, which has the EPC valves on it. We work very well with these machines also. We connect to that EPC valve, install a counterbalance, and then we have the Trimble functionality on that machine also. There are also the Deere machines. I'm not sure how many Deere machines are found in the UK. However, I did want to mention it to make sure that you are aware that these machines are supported. Just a note on the push arm dozers. And for those of you who are not that au fait with the term push arm, those are the dozers which would pretty much have the cylinders based on the nose of the machine down to the C-frame over here. So for the push arm machines, currently we do not support the single mast configuration on the front of the blade in the center. That is current. This is under evolution. This is going to grow, and this will change in time to come. So, as mentioned with all the other machines, please, this list continues to grow. Do get a picture of the serial number, get over to Cytec, and let's see if we can get your machine equipped with some of this refined technology. The good news on Earthworks is especially aimed at machines which were installed with GCS 900. GCS 900, which most of you might know, was the operating system before Earthworks, or the machine control system before Earthworks. Machines those that are installed with GCS 900 with the automatic hydraulics, there's now a possibility to have those machines installed with Earthworks as well. Obviously, the benefit of that is that you can now have a more uniform platform across your fleet of machines. Again, please speak to Cytec. Go over there, make sure that your specific model of machine can be supported, so that we can, so that you can actually use some of the great features and functions of Earthworks on your fleet of machines. There's the whole list of John Deere machines, Komatsu, Liebherr, Caterpillar. There's an extensive list of the Caterpillar machines. Just a note on these machines concerning the pre-Tier 4 final models, particularly the electronic hydraulic models. There is a slight limitation on which models can be fitted out with blade-mounted Earthworks. So please just check with Cytec, get the serial number, have a look. Let's see if we can get that equipment onto your machine so that you can benefit from that technology. Great. I hope I didn't race through all of that too quickly. We're now open to questions, and very glad to hear you. I'm glad I didn't take that bet with Dave, because he did get a lot more questions than I did. If you've got some difficult ones, please throw them in there, pass them straight on to Dave.
To be fair, you do have some questions. Some have been answered as we've been progressing, but I've got a couple ready for you now, Lance. I mean, I'm not going to say yet whether it's as many questions, because more often than not, once we get talking, these start to flow in. So are you ready?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so first question. So does GPS machine control allow for a dozer or excavator or any other piece of equipment to survey a stockpile for quantities and then share back to the office, is the first question.
That is a very good question. That relates closely to what David was discussing earlier when it comes to mapping.
Yep.
So I would put the survey and the mapping as the same functionality. They might just have a different name. But yes, your machine would pretty much do an as-built for you as you're working away. The other interesting point is that you can record points on specific events or items that you might find on a site. If you're digging away and you, I don't know, come across a gas pipe or a cable that you're not sure about, you can put the excavator's bucket nearby, you can record that point, you can give it a name, and yes, so you can survey and you can record points.
So as I said earlier, every time on a blade or a bucket, it's recording the pass every time. So it sends that data back. It's in the cloud. If you have access to the cloud information, then you can get information out and you can do your volumes based on the as-built survey. But as Lance says, we're doing as-builts all the time.
Yeah, and as Lance also pointed out, if there's an object or a reference point you want to mark in the field, you can do that with the tip of the blade or the bucket, and you can log that point on your control dash, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, the next question. So I do not know anything about this one, so it's over to you guys, thankfully. Are PCS cylinders on graders standard on ARO machines?
Oh, brilliant question. So on some of the older machines, you don't find them. they would need to be retrofitted. From my understanding, Caterpillar plans to bring out a lot of the new machines. The Dash 15 machines, from what I've understood, should be coming out standard with the PSE cylinders all round, so you'd be good to go. But on some of the older machines, they'll need to be retrofitted. On the 120 graders, those are the smaller ones. They do not yet have a PSE cylinder for the side shift, simply due to the size of the machine. It's very small. I'm not sure what Caterpillar's planning. My best guess would be that in due course, they would have a cylinder available for that machine. So if you're looking at a machine and you consider buying it, again, get the serial number ahead of time, speak to Caterpillar and see what that machine actually has on it for PSE cylinders.
Yeah, and I suppose that it's tied, that exact answer is tied very close to this next question, which is, I've not just deleted that, but yeah, no, so auto systems or machine control guidance systems, are these installed by the factory or OEM dealers, or are Cytec installed post-delivery? And I suppose it depends, but I'll get your answer first, guys, Trimble, and then I'll answer from a Cytec point of view, yeah?
Sure. So there are various OEM programs that are running, and to varying degrees, different OEMs do install different components on the machines. Liebherr will want to have one specific level of factory fit. Caterpillar, various models will have a different factory fit, and John Deere a different one. So I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly each one for every single brand. However, yes, there are a number of components, harnesses, etc., that do come factory fit, and there would be other components which would be covered by Cytec.
Yeah, and I think where that leads on to my, I suppose, commentary around that is that, you know, whether it's a factory fit or an aftermarket, let's call it that word, a Cytec installation, you know, feel free to get in contact with Cytec on our sales team or our tech team, because, you know, more often than not, we can support you with that decision-making process to understand the benefits of a machine coming out from the factory with it all pre-installed, or the post-install from Cytec, because we are there to support our customers with Trimble equipment. So whether it is a Hitachi machine or a Caterpillar machine, whatever it is, you know, we're there in the field to support that, and more often that we understand the nuances around it, or even if we're stuck, we can then get on and support with support from Trimble. We can answer those questions.
Yep, absolutely. Very often, you know, if you're purchasing a machine, the OEM would be able to make the serial number of that machine available to you. You could get the serial number, head over to Cytec, and between Trimble and Cytec and ourselves, we'd be able to get you some clarity with regards to that machine.
Super. Next question. These are coming in thick and fast now. So you are catching Dave up, Lance. So customer, we're trying to use our machine control subsurface, which eliminates GNSS. However, we do not have slew space to orientate with UTS at 90 degrees. At the most, maybe 45 degrees. Is there a solution? So I'm assuming this is use of Trimble within tunneling or subground level.
That's what I'm going to have to come back to. We'll have to check on that one.
That is a very interesting, it's a good question.
The maximum 45 degrees slew.
Yeah, to pick up the sensors, this is, isn't it, on the rotation on the...
Okay, I'll have to come back. I'll have to check and come back to it on that one.
Okay, so on that question, and that's come from Mark. Mark, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll get in contact with you, and we'll come up with a technical solution for you to support there. That's the beauty of these calls. The next question we've got is when surveying with a machine, does this still need blade on ground sensor? Or sorry, let me re-say that. When surveying with machine, does this still need blade on ground sensors to tolerances or tolerances?
So in the earthworks, if you're using the blade on a dozer, then there's a specific setting inside the system that says if the blade is less than 100 millimeters above your design, we class that as being blade on ground. If it's more than that, then it's outside the design tolerance and we won't record.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For
Super.
excavators, I have to check what systems we have in that. But for doors, that's the way we work it at the moment. But excavators, I'll have to check.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can get back to the person on that question as well. The next question is a really nice question. I like it. It's for customers who, it's not a difficult one either, I don't think. It's one of those things where people think, oh, we've just shown people a whole host and range of new technology, which is fantastic with great features, and it gives people the ability to use whether it's augmented reality or, you know, the loading function, which I don't think you covered yet. What's involved with the upgrade for customers who already have GCS 900 systems to then an Earthworks system?
Brilliant question. What would be involved in the upgrade is on the Earthworks platform, we use a different set of sensors which are a lot faster than the GCS 900 sensors. So we'd have to change the sensors. Unfortunately, we cannot use the existing GCS 900 harness. That technology has since evolved significantly. The harness would also be different. And then obviously also the display in the cab. The good news is the GPS receivers, MS9, 92, 972, 995, 975, those are supported. So you'd have no problem with those. They most likely have to have quite a bit of firmware update on them, but those are supported, so that you're good with that. Does that sort of in brief answer the question?
For me, yeah, I think that's a good answer. But again, we'll wait for the feedback from the customers on these. The next question we've got.
Sorry, just go back to this again and go back is if there's any doubt, SciTech can get information. See, it's hard to give a general statement, especially if it works machine by machine. So they can say, okay, on this machine, you might not need so much. On this machine, you need a bit more. So again, come back to the SciTech with the model, and then we can work it from there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But next question then. Bear with me. We've got the next question is, if we have a design model provided, you've covered the extraction of multiple sublayers. However, if we are doing live GPR in the field ahead of the machine, can this be uploaded as a supplementary design layer information? And if so, what compatibility with the manufacturer and file formats are there in existence? That's a tough question.
We would have to go through Business Center, so that data would have to be transferred back to Business Center quickly, which could be done in the field. If you got a PC or a Trimble tablet or something like that in the field, you could run Business Center on that, quickly create the surface, and then upload it in. So
yeah, that'd have to be almost a dynamic interaction and working pathway, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there's no direct route. It's a workaround, but yes, it can be done. As long as we get data out of that system, the GPR system that we can look at, then we can create a surface out of, then we can get it through.
Yeah, and I suppose with that, and with that close consultation, I think it's not only with the machine installation and calibration of the machinery, we also have a dedicated team of application engineers and surveyor specialists who can support you with your in-field design needs and, you know, what's the word for it? Your specific or bespoke requirements. It's probably safer to look at that in-field with the consultation around, yeah? Yeah,
correctly, yeah.
Okay. We're having various questions about, can we have copies of the presentation? We will make it freely available, and certainly the webinar will be available. And then we're also cognizant of getting out in front of people on whether it's further webinars or e-meetings, however we do it. But if you've got any requirements, reach out to your local sales representative, myself, or the SciTech UK and Ireland office to arrange meetings or discussions, and we'll quite happily work with you as customers to find the solution or answer any questions you have, or give you further learning about our equipment and services. I'm also aware we've not yet shown this great emulator as well. Is it now a great time? An emulator, which is freely available on the Trimble areas, and we will also try and make it available on the site at UK and Ireland website. And this gives our customers the ability to test field design plans or understand more about the technology in the field. It's not a simulator, it's an emulator. So there is a difference, but it can give you a great understanding and awareness of the product and some of the functions and features around. I hope, David, that's covered it whilst you...
Yeah, so what can you see on the screen now? Can you see
the dozer?
Just the doors on the like the 3D view?
Yes.
Okay, so that is like the game part of it. That's just to show you a representation, a 3D view of your models. You can actually upload your designs. It's a way of checking your designs in here. There you can move the machine. It's good for virtual 3D life as if you're moving a machine. So that's part of our simulator. The second part of that is, if I just jump out of there and come on to this one. Now you should be able to see the actual screen of the Earthworks.
Yes.
Yes. So this is the Earthworks. And this is generally running on the TD, the touch display of the machine, or an Android tablet. So there's multiple ways of running this. We have ways of running a TD plugged into your computer, or an Android tablet, again, connected to your network or your computer directly. And you can run the Earthworks display separately, and then you have this 3D machine view on your computer. There is a third way, which uses this, what we call the BlueStacks Android emulator on your PC. So you can install this BlueStacks, and then we have documentation how you actually set it up and run, so you can have the 3D gaining side of it and the actual Earthworks display on the same PC. So as you move your machine, you actually see in the Earthworks display the doors are moving. You can see it moving around, moving the blade. Test all the information, what's going on, do all the buttons on here. There is I wouldn't say an issue, but there is a restriction with BlueStacks. It's not Trimble. It's a third-party application. And if you're using it for commercial, so you're using it in-house for training, you should pay for it. It doesn't cost much. I think it's about $40, $50. So it's worth buying. And we all buy it because BlueStacks have been known to really aggressively check on people that have installed it and make sure that they're paid. And if you don't pay for it, then there's a really big hefty fine, especially if you're using it commercially. So all the Trimble people that have this have paid for it. They've got a yearly subscription every year. I think it's $40 that we pay. But it allows us to use this to show you guys and use it demonstrations at ConExpo.
Yeah, and I think what we'll do with this, because it's something that we are getting asked more about, and certainly whilst people have been either not working or not able to get on site, we will run a separate webinar just looking at some of the basic features and functions around it, and also put that link to not only BlueStacks but also to the emulator on the website, so that people can start to get their hands on it and have a play with it. You know, it runs off most laptops. I think Windows 10 is required. My laptop, for instance, the other evening was operating with it quite happily. It's just that functionality with the touch display running in parallel is what you really need to get the most out of it.
So what you see here in the Earthworks display is basically what the operator sees in the cab. When you click on something, you can actually go to it and say, okay, I want to see what this is, what this menu is, change my design. There's the version 1 I mentioned earlier. The B01 means this is the first version of that model. If there was more, then there'd be version 2, 3, 4, etc. If I want to do select my lane guidance, if I had a main alignment in here selected, I could use this. I could measure a point, my blade focus or bucket focus, I can change. And I can go into the menus and find out and just get myself familiar with what's going on. So it's really good for training new operators or operators that are moving onto the system from maybe GCS or some other operating system. But this is exactly as the operator would see in the field. Then he has the joysticks. If you want to buy a couple of joysticks, then you can actually move the machine around, and he gets to see exactly real time what he would see in the field if he was sitting in a real excavator. So yeah, it's a really useful tool.
Yeah, that's great. And what we'll try and do is communicate to everybody on this webinar when that next session or the next webinar on the emulator can take place, because it's a little bit difficult to show live, so we need to load in some designs and think about the best way we present that to everybody. But that's absolutely fantastic. We haven't got any more open questions, so I'm going to throw out a 5-minute opportunity for people to ask any final questions that people may have. If not, but we do appreciate everybody's time for joining on the call. And if anybody's got anything they want to raise now or later, we're always open and happy to support wherever needed. And I'd also like to extend my thanks to David and Lance for actually supporting SciTech in this time and having such a great presentation and showing about some of the exciting new products available.
No problem, thanks. Zane, if you think of a question later on, please get in touch with Ian, send the questions to Ian. You can either answer them or you can send them through to us and we can try and answer them for you.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care and be safe in these times. And hopefully we'll talk to everybody soon when we're all out and about and operational again.
Yep. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.